Brooker, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about why you should consider adopting a vegetarian diet. So many people feel that becoming a vegetarian can't really make a global difference. They say, I'm one person, like what is it going to do for the world? It's just me. But in actuality, according to the Counting Animals 2015 article, How Many Animals Does a Vegetarian Save? One person switching to a vegetarian diet can save the lives of 371 to 582 animals annually, which makes the amount of animals bred and consequently the CO2 emissions created decrease significantly, because that is literally hundreds of animals per person. So you can imagine that on a global scale. It's pretty intense. Today we're going to be talking about how easy it is to switch diets from a normal diet to a vegetarian diet, and the personal and global effects of this, and also how that can change the world universally. Personally, for me, I've been a vegetarian for about 3 years, and the biggest effect that I've seen in myself is I no longer wake up sluggish and gross and groggy, which is a common occurrence when people who do eat meat. Just overall feeling not the best. And I think that is one of the super, super awesome parts about being a vegetarian, is you just feel overall better all of the time. So first we're going to look at global warming and why this can help combat that. So the need for adopting a vegetarian diet comes from the amount of greenhouse gases that are emitted by human action. So basically, according to the New York Times publication, The Meat Question by the Numbers, and by Lisa Friedman and others in 2018, worldwide, livestock accounts for between 14.5% and 18% of human-induced greenhouse emissions. That is almost 20% of all greenhouse gases emitted by humans. And I know that electricity and transportation are also big contributors, but the biggest thing that we can do is do our part and make actions that we can have control over to better the world. So with global warming and climate change, according to ABC News in a 2018 report by Stephanie Ebbs titled Scientists, Time Running Short Before Climate Change Effects Are Irreversible, there are only 10 years, 12 when the report was published, until climate change damage will be irreparable, which means we have to act dramatically and we have to act now. And there are small ways that you can help by, conserving electricity, carpooling to work, doing little things. But the biggest thing that an individual can do for a global change is becoming a vegetarian, honestly. So we're going to look more intensely at what we can do to help reduce these. So climate change affects everything. If we reach that 10-year mark and we don't do anything, sea levels will rise to uninhabitable places, there will be super, super severe weather changes, and lots of parts of the planet become uninhabitable, species will die off in unprecedented numbers, and the world will just be bad. Very, very bad for everyone and everything living on the world. We don't want that. So what we can do is eat as little meat as possible, preferably reducing your meat consumption to about 75%. And this is a challenge for places that have low income, like developing countries, because vegetables are just more expensive than meat. It just is a fact, they are. So a lot of people rely on meat to, not die, which is understandable. And there are also religious and cultural factors that implement that. So what we ask for those people is just to reduce their meat consumption by as much as they can. It's not asking for a complete vegetarian diet, just doing their part so that the world can, become a healthier place. And so if this is done in an article published by BBC, What Would Happen If the World Suddenly Went Vegetarian, written by Rachel Newer in September 2016, should everyone go vegetarian by 2050, we will see a global mortality reduction of 6 to 10%, thanks to a lessened area of coronary heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and some cancers. This change would also significantly decrease global greenhouse emissions, as food-related emissions would drop by about 60%. So not only does it help the world by reducing these emissions, but it also helps yourself, because a lot of Americans are dying from heart problems based on heavy meat diets, which is just dangerous and all. And we want to, help people live longer, have better, healthier lives. And so by reducing food emissions on 60%, that will help the globe and individuals. And one of the biggest objections to this is that people just like the way meat tastes. They're not willing to make that sacrifice because they enjoy it, which is understandable. But luckily in 2020, there are so many plant-based alternatives that taste literally exactly the same and have the same amount of protein and nutrients that the bodies need to function, that it really wouldn't be that big of a switch for people who just love the taste of beef and pork and chicken. So now we've looked at that, let's take a look at the world, what it would look like if nothing changed. So, visualize this. It's 2050. You've been a vegetarian for now 30 years. Your life is, you feel better each day, you feel less groggy, happier, you have grandkids now, and they're doing the same. As a global community, we've been able able to, curb climate change to the point where your favorite species are still alive, your grandkids can know what a giraffe is and not have to search it on Google to find an image. The Arctic hasn't completely melted, and there's actual hope for the future, and things are looking up. And then imagine we do nothing, and everyone still acts as whatever they want to do. They don't change their diets, they don't change their lifestyles at all. And so many animals are extinct. Global communities are wiped out because of the high and rising temperatures, and poor developing countries are completely flooded, and there's hurricanes and sorts of natural disasters that we just can't fix at this point because we've reached that 10-year mark and nothing was done to fix it. So which world do you want your grandchildren to live in? Which do you want for your future and your health and your mortality is what is important to think about. So let's do a quick conclusion to wrap this up. So as we know, animal agriculture results for 18% of all of the greenhouse gases emitted, which is very significant. And on a global scale, we can all combat this by switching how we eat and how we live our lives. And there's always room to improve. So as you guys know, I've been a vegetarian for about 3 years, but I still want to switch to becoming a vegan because eating eggs and other dairy products still is not good for the environment and still supports that other 40% of animal agriculture that we couldn't decrease by meat consumption. And so there's always something that we can do. Even if you feel like you're already doing your part, you can always do more to help the universe and the planet in a better way. And so as I close, I encourage you guys to think about future generations. Think about your life and your family's lives and the lives of the other animals inhabiting this planet. Because it's not just about an individual, it's about the whole entire world. And you can think about what you can do to help make the world a better place both now and for 50 years from now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.